Have you ever wondered how many Bluetooth speakers we'd have if there was no China? 98% of all Bluetooth speakers I've ever come across come from China. Welcome to two deep bass Chinese speakers, otherwise known as the JBL Boombox 2. We know they can't wait to update that logo. It's a little logo, well, it's red and it's all right, but hey, when we get the Boombox 3, it's going to be huge, massive, singing and dancing a JBL logo. It's going to turn it that way and it's going to glow red, and oh, the kiddies are going to love it.
Awesome.
But of course, we already had and still have. It's years old, 2016. It's only 6 years old. So Harman Kardon Go Plus Play 2 Mini. I think they call it the Mini. I don't know why. There must have been a bigger version. I didn't have the first version. I got this version. The clue is, this is what I've got. Why am I putting that up against the JBL Boombox 2? It's a heavyweight hitter. It does boom, boom, boom deep bass. It's got a boom, boom, boom massive price. We're still waiting for someone to suggest a better catchphrase to suggest this is a very heavily priced speaker. Because I'm going through what I personally still have, the speakers, and I consider my deeper bass options when going on the road, when going portable. I don't go portable, they are portable speakers. When I'm going traveling, I am all about portable speakers, and you're going to come on, and you normally do, and say, well, there's speakers, a lot of the speakers you're suggesting are not portable. You plug them into the mains, and that's the clue. You can plug both of these into the mains, they will go a bit louder, but I'm going to be testing them on battery power, because here's a hint, portable Bluetooth speakers. So here we have, on paper, the Go Plus Play. They're saying 100 watts. I'm saying, no, that's creative marketing. It's actually 50 watts. 80 watts on mains power, 60 watts on battery power, about 245 quid, about $224, half the price of the $500, 450 quid, boom, 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 priced JBL Boombox 2. Is it half the speaker? Will you still get lovely deep bass? Do you need to get a speaker that weighs 6 kilos? And you're gonna go, you're going down the gym before you start picking that up. In fact, you probably would go down the gym with 2 of these and do a workout and actually probably build some muscle. So, my low volume test, that means 40% on the JBL Boombox is probably 50% from memory. It is indeed 50%. The volume steps, by the way, are identical to the Onyx Studio 7, which I've already reviewed. So 50% loudness. So 50% volume step is the same loudness as 40% volume step on the Boombox 2. How do they compare?
Say I make you nervous, a tragedy, I'm a beautiful disaster, a reckoning, you wonder how I got this way. You think I'm someone to be saved, someone to clean up and tame. Oh, some things never change, never change. You think I would look pretty on your arm once you cover up my bruises and battle scars, but it always ends the same. Can't bear the things I've had to face, got you crying on your knees in pain. Oh, some things never change, never change. You'll break your back to make me feel again, suffocate to make me breathe again, lose your mind from endless pain. Some things never change, never change. Oh, redemption ever came. I stopped asking for forgiveness, cause you should know only fools tread with the angels. Fear to go, but you keep trying to get too close. Save myself by turning into stone.
So at these lower volumes, 40% for the Boombox 2, 50% for the Go Plus Play 2. The difference isn't massive, and the Go Play is holding its own in terms of the bass. It can go as deep as the Boombox 2, even at 40 Hertz. But both minus 22 dB, and it's mid bass where Go Play 2 has a little bit of an advantage, and then upper bass where the Boombox 2 has an advantage. The biggest difference is around the 3 kHz mark, where the Go Plus 2 is quite a bit stronger than the Boombox 2, with its famous 2.5 kHz dip before making up a little bit for that in the highs.
So in terms of purely a frequency response, it's actually quite close at these low volumes.
I already said similar volume steps, probably similar tuning to the Onyx Studio 7. Harman Kardon produce both of those speakers, probably no coincidence. I suddenly feel like I should be doing a TikTok video.
What a coincidence!
Never mind. The difference between the Onyx Studio 7, which was designed after a boozy lunchtime drink with the bosses, this actually has two woofers, two wide tweeters, so two passive radiators. It's proper stereo. Of course, we already know two woofers, two tweeters, two passive radiators. So for my money, it's a better listen than the Onyx Studio 7, but I already said the Onyx Studio 6 was a better listen. But however, this is about the Harman Kardon Go Plus Play. It does well. We've already seen this. Each video, my third video now for the Boombox 2. In terms of overwhelmingly deep, massive bass, doesn't happen till you're over 50%. So 40%, you know, speakers are able to get near. And so in terms of the deep bass, it is just an edge, just edging towards the Go Plus Play at the advantage. Indeed, even in the mid bass, it can take on the Boombox 2. It's just in the upper bass, in terms of the tuning at these volumes, where the Boombox 2 can outgun the Go Plus Play. So overall sound signatures, a bit woolly on the warm side, still fun, but lacks detail, crispy, clear and defined, but more clinical. So more of, more for an analytical listen, more for some fun. I would say this is a draw. I think in their own way, for what they both do, they both deliver at lower volumes. And it's delivering the same deep bass as the Boombox 2. So it is holding its own. It's just got a very different signature. So it's a matter of what your taste is. If I only played at those volumes and I could only have one speaker, it would be the Go Plus Play because it's the better all-round option. But I would consider them both equal because they have their strengths in different places. So we'll kick it up again, 70% on the Boombox 2, because it's no point in having a Boombox 2 if you don't go to volumes that it's going to annoy someone around you. They're going to tell you to turn it down. If your grandma says turn it up a bit, you've got a real issue. So 70% is real world volumes for a speaker like that, as far as I'm concerned, and that means 85%. Obviously, classically above that 80% where bass starts limiting. Hear it all the time. And then you get over 8% and they're reducing the bass. They're not reducing the bass, they're limiting it. They're just giving you more in the mids and the highs relatively as you go past 80%, so it becomes less bass heavy. It's not less bass, it's bass is limiting. So my comparison, 70% at 85%.
Give me a second chance. They don't come on often, but please, you know I can't stand it when you don't talk to me. When you don't talk to me. Yeah. There's something inside. Yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you. Yeah. No, I can't hide it. No, I can't hide it anymore. Get you off my mind, and I know it's true, and I'll say this to you, I want you back. There's something inside, yeah, there's something inside that brings me back to you, yeah. No, I can't hide it, no, I can't hide it anymore.
The Go Plus Play 2 isn't a million miles behind the Boombox 2, but it is behind. The Boombox 2 now has the deeper bass, stronger in the upper bass. It's just in the mids where the Go Plus Play 2 has the edge, but that's not the whole story. The Boombox 2 just sounds bigger and deeper. The advantage the Go Plus 2 had at the 3 kHz mark is still there, but it's narrower. And the bigger highs now, much bigger highs on the Boombox 2, is adding a lot more sparkle.
So once you start pushing those volumes, the Boombox 2 comes into its own. You don't really notice what is a lack of sparkle and detail, especially in the mids. It is really shaped. You do get some extra dollop in the highs. And it just sounds bigger and fuller and more powerful altogether than the Go Plus Play, which could hold its own at low volumes. But once you start pumping the volume, which is what this speaker is all about, you can see why you pay $500 versus around $250. It's because it's just more meaty, it's fuller, it's going deeper, it's a bigger bass, and actually it's a little bit more sparkly because of the increased highs and because that's becoming a bit more mids focused. The bass is still there, it's just the overall sound signature has changed and it sounds smaller. It's a smaller... Oh, bloody hell! Does the smaller speaker sound smaller? Oh, shock horror, yeah, it does. Anyway, I'm just putting it out there in case you didn't know. So, maximum volume test. Is it going to go the same way as the Onyx Studio 7, which was thrashed in terms of maximum volume? Let's have a listen.
Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I think the girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done now.
So the Go Plus Play 2, as the volume goes up, the Boombox 2 simply keeps pulling away, and now at maximum volume, the Boombox 2 is simply a ton louder, 5.5 decibels louder, 6.5 decibels louder just in peak. And while they do come together at 40 hertz, overall it's just louder and bigger. The bass on the Boombox 2, it sounds bigger. And the Go Plus Play 2 is simply outgunned here. What you can say is, compared to the original, the Go Plus Play 2 does look a bit more natural, but the volume simply isn't there.
So yeah, game, set and match once again to the Boombox 2. In terms of a single one of the other speakers I have, yeah, 2 motion booms did go louder, but of course it still couldn't match the bass that you're getting. So I'll say it again, just remember, it comes alive as you push the volume, but it will retain bass at the expense of loudness because it's not limiting it that much. So it really limits the upper bass so it can hold on to its deeper bass. So it's not pushing the mids and highs as much as you expect, or as much as 160 watts or 120 watts on paper would suggest how loud it's going to go. But it still retains enough bass to be a lot of fun. And it says a lot about that the Onyx Studio 7 and the Harman Kardon Go Plus Play do not go that loud, that it's absolutely thrashed by no less than 6.5 decibels in terms of the peaks. 5.5 decibels. I mean, it's huge. I mean, I don't need to say more because the difference in overall loudness is just so big. It's like, I think you got the message. All that's left to say is the specs. What lies hidden in the specs? Well, both main channels already said. We talked about the prices. It was only 11 watt hours on the Onyx Studio 6. It's double the battery. Double the battery means 22.2 watt hours. I mean, 72.6 watt hours, 22.2 watt hours. It's bigger than the Onyx Studio 7, but hey, it's still ridiculous, isn't it? It's still ridiculous. Still both SBC, Bluetooth 4.1, Bluetooth 4.1. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. 2022 lifestyle speakers, Harman Kardon. That's supposed to be the high end of JBL. Bluetooth 4.1. Both do stereo. Well, no, only party mode. Only party mode. So two Go Plus plays will both play the same channels. Both will play left and right. Whereas the Boombox, you got the options of, if you had two of them and a lot of money, you could have stereo, or indeed your mates come round and you can connect up to 100 other party boost speakers. Woo hoo hoo. If anyone's ever done it, please let me know. The only one that we've ever seen do that is Linus Tech Tips. Both got barrel chargers, and you're going to get 57 watts of charging power versus 100 watts on the Boombox 2. They both have auxiliary. I got 0, so that's nice. That's what we would hope to expect from auxiliary input. 0 milliseconds lag on the Go Plus Play, whereas I'm getting 17 milliseconds lag on the Boombox 2. Just creeps in at 80 milliseconds in terms of Bluetooth latency, which is just about acceptable. 140 milliseconds is not acceptable at all. Both be used as a power bank. You can use the Go Plus Play as a speakerphone. 3.5 kilos, 6 kilos. No IP rating at all for the Go Plus Play. IPX7, and indeed, it actually floats, can you believe it? 290mm woofers, 206mm woofers, 220mm tweeters, 220mm tweeters. Both have 2 passive radiators. No app for the Harman Kardon, but there is an app for the JBL Boombox. You can do your firmware updates, which is handy via there. You can set party mode and stereo mode in the app, but what you can't do is use the equalizer. But come on, guys. It's not even a 3-band graphic equalizer. It's still loads of you shouting and saying, all them JBL fanboys, wow, 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 look what JBL have done now. They're giving us a 3-band graphic equalizer. Never mind if it was a graphic equalizer. What can you do with 3 bands? You know, your bass, your mids and highs. Okay, overall sound signature changes, but it's not even that. It's an algorithm-driven slider. So it will do balancing. If you put the bass up, it will do balancing with the mids and highs at different volumes to make it sound basic. It's not, let's get this clear. All you JBL fanboys, you do not have a graphic equalizer in the JBL app. You have a pretend equalizer. It's algorithm driven and it will do silly things. So once you start pushing the bass and you leave the bass pushed, if you've got your extremes and the other speakers have got it, the charge 5 and that, you're going to lose volume. You're going to, at higher volumes, it's going to limit bass before 80% now. You're not going to get any more bass. And then it's going to reduce the mids and highs to make it sound at higher volumes like you've got more bass, and you haven't. So you're going to lose volume. This is not a Soundcore proper multi-band graphic equalizer. That's been my review. Yet again, the Boombox 2 comes out the winner, but at lower volumes, it's different. And if you want a bit more detail and you don't want the overwhelming heavy bass, it's not overwhelming in that it's making everything mushy, but it's enough bass that you're losing details, whereas you retain details with the Harman Kardon Go Plus Play. They're very different in nature. But my previous video, the Onyx Studio 7, I would rather listen to the Go Plus Play than the Onyx Studio 7, which was a huge mistake in my opinion. People, you love it? That's absolutely fine. I'm not saying it's illegal to like a speaker that I don't like. I'm not one of those reviewers. And I'm not Flossie Carter. And I'm not saying it's worth the money because I can use it as a speakerphone. But the JBL Boombox has done better in my world than I was expecting. I thought it's not a speaker I could listen to indoors. I thought the bass was going to be overwhelming. I don't think it is. I think there's still enough balance that it's a lot of fun. But yes, you're going to lose detail. You're going to lose sparkle. But you will get nice bass. And at $500, 450 quid, and God, you get something for your money, even though it's JBL.
Yes!
And by the way, JBL wouldn't let me have a boombox. I don't know how big I've got to be for JBL to take me serious. They sent me a soundbar once. They thought I was someone else. I asked can I get a boombox? Just thought I'd give it a try. Ignored about 10 emails. And I finally said, well, just let me know one way or the other so I know where I am. And they said, well, if we can find a loaner, we'll let you have it. I never heard again. So I bought this. I bought it so I could tell you what JBL seemingly don't want me to tell you, or I'm just too small for them to think there's any point. Yeah, obviously the views are a bit low, but sometimes You do think, well, maybe they get it. They sent me a soundbar then. Why won't they let me have a speaker when I'm a speaker reviewer? That's a wrap up. The Boombox 2 delivers, but it's pricey for what it does. But if you want a boombox, you can get a boombox with deep bass. You play it next to your granny, and she's going to wonder, has hell come down to earth? Thank you for watching. I hope to see you in another video.
I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Ain't no project wife, got my logic right, guess I'm not your type. I ain't about that life. I ain't about that life. Sorry, ma, I ain't get it right. I'ma just live my life. I ain't about that. I ain't about that life.